David Miller's life was a carefully orchestrated symphony of school runs, bedtime stories, and spreadsheets. As a freelance graphic designer, his days were a juggle of client deadlines and playdates, all revolved around his bright, imaginative 6-year-old daughter, Lily. 3 years had passed since his wife, Emily, had succumbed to a sudden illness, leaving a silence that David had slowly learned to fill with Lily's laughter and the gentle hum of their new, quieter life in their cozy, slightly too small cottage. His mornings began at 5 a.m., a sacred time for coffee and the quiet work of a creative mind. By 6:30 a.m., Lily would stir, and the house would burst to life with the clatter of cereal bowls and the animated recounting of dreams involving flying unicorns and talking puppies. David was good at this. He was a master of the single dad dance, navigating skin knees and complex Lego instructions with equal parts patience and a well-hidden panic. He wasn't looking for love. He barely had time to finish a full thought, let alone entertain the idea of romance. His heart, he believed, was entirely dedicated to Lily, and the memory of Emily, a soft, warm presence that still lingered in the corners of their home. Chapter 2. The Bookstore Encounter. It happened on a rainy Saturday, a day David usually spent ferrying Lily between ballet and birthday parties. But today, a rare cancellation meant a trip to the written word, their favorite independent bookstore, a place smelling of old paper and new possibilities. Lily, a whirlwind of pink rain boots, darted straight to the children's section. David, meanwhile, wandered towards the fiction, drawn by the quiet promise of escape. He was reaching for a worn copy of a classic when a voice, like warm honey and autumn leaves, spoke beside him. Ah, a man of excellent taste. Though I'd argue the second edition has a much better preface. He turned to see her. Eleanor Vance. She had eyes the color of deep sea, framed by playful bangs, and a smile that seemed to understand secrets. She wore a simple knitted cardigan, and a faint scent of vanilla and ink clung to her. Eleanor, David quickly learned, was the bookstore's owner, her passion for stories evident in every curated shelf. They talked for what felt like minutes, but was likely an hour, discussing everything from obscure literary theories to the best way to keep a paperback from falling apart in a backpack. Lily eventually found them, tugging on David's sleeve. "Daddy, can we get this one? It has glitter." Eleanor knelt, her smile soft. "Glitter is essential, darling. A true sign of a magnificent story." As they left, David found himself looking back, a strange, unfamiliar flutter in his chest. He hadn't felt that kind of spark in years. Chapter 3. The Coffee and the Chaos. Their encounters became more frequent. David would, conveniently, take Lily to the bookstore for a new read, or Eleanor would find an excuse to stock up on art supplies from a shop near his studio. Their conversations deepened over lukewarm coffees and the shared chaos of children's play areas. Eleanor was a sculptor, her hands strong and graceful, often smudged with clay. She understood the solitary nature of creative work, the late nights, and the desperate need for quiet. She didn't try to fill the space Emily had left. Instead, she created her own, a new kind of melody that hummed softly alongside David's existing life. Lily, initially wary of any new person in her father's orbit, gradually warmed to Eleanor. Eleanor didn't treat her like a child, she treated her like a fellow adventurer, discussing the merits of dragon scales versus fairy wings, and listening intently to Lily's elaborate tales. One afternoon, while David was on a call, he overheard Eleanor teaching Lily how to fold an intricate origami crane. It was a simple act, but it lodged itself deep in his heart. Chapter 4. The Unspoken Fears. Yet, David harbored fears. He worried about hurting Lily. He worried about betraying Emily's memory. He worried he wasn't whole enough, that he was a package deal with too much baggage. He'd catch himself pulling away, creating distance, even as his heart yearned to lean in. One evening, after Lily was asleep, he found himself sketching Eleanor's profile from memory, the curve of her nose, the thoughtful tilt of her head. He crumpled the paper, frustrated. He knew he was falling for her, deeply and completely. But the vulnerability felt terrifying. Eleanor, sensing his hesitation, never pushed. She simply existed, a constant, gentle presence. She understood that grief wasn't a phase to be overcome, but a landscape to be navigated. She often spoke of her own past, a quiet strength in her voice as she shared stories of overcoming challenges, creating a safe space for David to eventually open up. Chapter 5. The Confession Beneath the Stars. Months passed. Spring turned into summer. One balmy evening, Eleanor invited David and Lily to a stargazing event at the local observatory. Lily, bundled in a blanket, fell asleep in David's arms, dreaming of distant galaxies. As the constellations wheeled above them, David found the courage. "Eleanor," he began, his voice rough with emotion, I haven't felt like this in a long time. I never thought I would again." Eleanor turned to him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "David," she said softly, "you don't have to explain. I see it. I see you." He took a shaky breath. "I'm scared. Scared for Lily, scared for myself. It's a lot." She reached out, her hand gently covering his. "Love isn't about erasing what came before, David. It's about building something new, something that honors the past while embracing the future. And you and Lily, you're not a lot, you're everything." In that moment, under the vast, silent sky, David felt a weight lift. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw not a replacement but an addition. A partner who understood the complex architecture of his life and was willing to help him build anew. Chapter 6. A New Design. The first kiss was soft, tentative, a promise whispered against the backdrop of glittering stars. It wasn't fireworks and grand pronouncements, it was quiet certainty, the meeting of two souls who had found an unexpected melody in the quiet symphony of life. Their love story wasn't a sudden explosion, but a gentle unfolding, like the petals of a delicate flower. They navigated school plays, shared meals, and the occasional grumpy mornings with Lily. David learned to let Eleanor into the parts of his life he had guarded so fiercely. He saw how Lily thrived under Eleanor's gentle encouragement, how Eleanor's laughter filled the cottage with a different kind of warmth. One afternoon, sitting in the bookstore, watching Eleanor read to Lily, David realized that his life wasn't just a routine anymore. It was a design, beautifully complex, with new colors and textures. He wasn't just a single dad, he was a man in love, a father whose heart had found room for a new, incredible chapter. The quiet hum of his home had a new note, a sweet, resonant chord that promised a future filled with shared stories, sculpted dreams, and an enduring, tender love.